Well, Nicholas Gibbs, I have mentioned you two or three times this week because you keep saying things on X that I like, and I'm going, "Wow, look what Nick just said." And I think I've even commented on some of those things.
Oh, well, let me apologize ahead of time. I'm really bad at responding to comments on my comments.
Well, there you go. At least you've said it out loud now, so everybody knows.
Well, I'm the worst at it.
So- well, listen, let's talk. I mean, there's no news. I was thinking about just calling off the show today because, there's nothing to talk about, nothing. Let's start
Nothing
with
pressing. Nothing pressing.
president. But just in case this is interesting, let's talk about that Vladimir Zelensky issued a new statement groveling to Trump, according to this headline. Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It's regrettable that it happened this way. It's time to make things right. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We're so grateful for this. Regarding the agreement on mineral rights and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it anytime and in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step forward towards greater security and solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively. And apparently, from the word I'm hearing out there, this agreement is probably going to be signed before the speech tonight at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern. So, and you say,
Um, there's a lot of stupid people out there, Randy. And I think sometimes people don't understand where they are in the pecking order. And in life, no matter how much you want things not to have a pecking order or a hierarchy, the truth is there is a hierarchy. Some people are smarter than you. Some people are wealthier than you. Some people have more power than you. Some people are prettier than you. Some people are taller than you. And there's a hierarchy in life.
there's
And
almost nobody cuter than me. What are you talking about?
I know you're just a button, aren't you? Anyways, we're gonna get demonetized now just for that. Um, uh, but when you need something from someone else and they need nothing from you, you've got no negotiating power other than saying no and continue doing what you're doing. But it's just it's it was very I don't know. I don't know. What I saw there was a little baffling. Like to have the audacity to even like I almost think that if he would have pulled back just a little bit, it would have been fine because I think Zelensky was showing his passion and fervor, and I think that would have been good. But he went too far and he made Trump and Vance the enemy to him. And it's like, come on, man. They're not the enemy. They're the ones that are trying to help you. They're the ones that, and it's just, sorry, this is something that just bothers me. People just cannot grasp their mind around this. The Democrats used to, but people can't grasp their mind around the fact that Trump, Vance, Elon, the MAGA Republicans, they just want people to stop dying. They don't want to have these wars. Who cares if it's in Russia or Ukraine? Who cares? These are people who are going shooting bullets, drones, missiles at each other, killing each other for people who don't have to go on the front lines and do that. They're fighting the wars and they're sacrificing their lives for people who aren't in the arena. And that's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. You know, at least Washington was on the field with his soldiers. You don't see that anymore. And to me, it's like if wars today in this day and age make zero sense unless you're going to stomp out a terrorist organization or unless you are just defending yourself. And I know you might, maybe I shouldn't have said that because people were like, oh, Ukraine's just defending themselves. But no, they weren't. They were trying to be part of NATO, which would pressure on Russia. Like everything was good until that happened, right? So wars today are stupid because it's for there's a handful of people on this planet, maybe like 12 of them decide if there's going to be a war or not,
Right.
and then the rest of us have to deal with it. It's insane. We should have zero wars. We should just have peace. Like, we're too old to have wars. I don't know how else to say it, but peace needs to happen. End of story.
End of story is right. And the other half of what you said was, of course, right on as well. It's kind of um, I consider myself to be alpha. I'm sure you probably consider yourself to be alpha. But when I walk into a room, I know when there's an alpha that's more alpha than me. And I know what to do with that. I know how to manage that relationship. In fact, most of my best friends in my life have been giants. They've been like 6'3". My partner of 30 years was 6'6". I know how to befriend people who are alphas that are more alpha than I am. Apparently, Zelensky never got that lesson. I'm not sure, who failed to tell that little short guy how to deal with people that are more alpha than him.
Yeah, I don't know. I would really love to. I mean, some of my best friends are actually Ukrainian. They actually, I pretty much grew up with them. One of
Interesting.
them, Markion, he went to the Naval Academy. He went to Annapolis. So his wife is from Ukraine. Her and her family fled here and everything. So, like, I have so many close friends from Ukraine, but no matter how you splice it, it's not to me Ukraine's good, Russia's bad, or Russia's good, Ukraine. It's not. It's there are innocent people just dying. There are people who are being forced into this war that they're they're not. There's no reason to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I would say for the most part, besides the whole NATO thing, I think Ukraine was largely on the right side of these things, defending themselves. But at this point, if you're refusing to have a truce, now you're the bad guy too. So to me, it's like, guys, we just need to stop the killing, stop the violence. The Ukrainian and Russian people, they're too beautiful, too smart to be wasting on putting them 6 feet under. It's just not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So then
ridiculous.
to switch gears very radically, Sawyer Merritt says this just came out before we came on. Tesla's reincorporation to Texas was legal. Delaware Judge Kathleen McCormick has ruled today. So now that was kind of a shock all of a sudden. I might have expected it, later on in the appeals process, but do you think that Kathleen McCormick got the message, got the understanding from her governor, et cetera, that it was time to back off?
I don't. I think she is trying to have proof to be able to say, no, I don't have anything for Elon. Yeah, sure, the whole Twitter thing. Yeah, sure, the comp package. But look, I said okay to the Texas thing. So I think she's trying to have an out
I
and
see.
show she's unbiased.
I see. All right. Well, this was very good news, and the stock is only up 6. Given that the market's really up, I guess maybe either people haven't seen this news yet or they don't think it's as important as it is, but it is, I think, a very,
Well,
I certainly would rather that she also gave the package because I think there are tax implications on that that make it very hard to redo in Texas. But other than that, this I think is extremely good news.
Randy, I will say that the stock was up on this news.
Oh,
It went down into the close, and the reason why the stock's up now is because of the whole
okay.
the tariff.
You terrified.
The
Okay, so that's the next news.
Yeah, so that's when the stock started to climb because that came out right after the market closed.
All right, so the next news apparently Trump feels like the peace deal will be enough headlines for this day. So he's put off the tariff agreement until tomorrow. So, so somehow Canada, Mexico, and the US have got some kind of a trade deal that has been worked out and that's going to be announced tomorrow. So what do you think about that?
Um, I I think I think he's getting everything he wants. End of story. I think he's getting what he wants. Everyone thinks he's an idiot. Everyone thinks he doesn't know what he's doing. But for someone who doesn't know what he's doing, he sure has a lot of people bending at the knee, doesn't he?
Well, he's been getting people to do what he wants for a very, very long time. This is not
Yeah.
like it started in politics. It started, 50 years ago with building half the skyline of New York City. Um, he, I think the one thing that I took away from this whole set of situations that are happening with the tariffs and whatnot, I think it was stage setting. You can't allow anybody to start saying, "Oh, it's only bluster." You have to keep people off balance. He can't let people think that any one set of negotiating approaches is what he's always doing. Does that make sense to you?
I I think he just got to a point where people kept saying, "Oh, Trump's just going to threaten it, and then he's not going to do it." I mean, this is kind of what you're saying. And I think he said, "You know what? We're just going to put him on. We're not waiting until April. We're just going to put him on now. Let's just do it. People want to play games. Well, let's play games. Let's just put him on."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you see all the cockroaches running around. Again, there's levels to this. I'm sorry. I think something like 40% of all of Mexico's trade comes through the United States. I
Right.
think Canada's what, like 30, 35%, something like that. Like they have zero room to barter here. Zero. So, and it's not like he's being unreasonable. He wants fair trade. He wants drugs to stop pouring into his country. He wants the Mexican government to stop defending cartels. Like this is like call him Jesus at this point. Like is he what he's saying really crazy? Like this is kind of wild to me.
Yeah, I know. It is crazy. So a lot of Canadians are really mad at us. They're booing, at sports events. And then Doug Ford, he canceled his Starlink contract. So is this going to be a long-term problem even after we got the agreement tomorrow? Or is this going to be something that will be forgotten about in a few weeks and all blamed on Trump being Trump?
It doesn't matter. Do what
Okay.
you want. Cancel your Starlink. Go for it. Don't buy Tesla. Go for it. Don't come to what was Trudeau saying today? Don't vacation at Florida beaches. Go for it. You know what the truth is? It doesn't impact us at all. It's a joke.
I think
It's
yeah,
like I
3%.
hate to say it, but it's like everyone's sitting here talking about like, all right, now I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it's like people talk about egg prices. Guess what? It doesn't affect me. Like it's zero. It's like I don't even see it. It doesn't make a dent in the financial statements here at the house. It's them not purchasing Starlink it's even smaller than that for them. It is so inconsequential. You're not hurting anyone. You're just up there saying something, whatever. But you know what? You're really full of it. I'm gonna try not to cuss too much on your show. You're really full of it because where's the same energy with China and the Uyghurs? Where's that? Where's the same energy when Germany has still been buying oil from Russia? Where's that? Right?
And
Like it's
Canada. And
hypocrisy is
Canada.
everywhere.
Canada's
Oh,
been
in
buying.
Canada, yeah, exactly. So it's literally everyone just they have a moral high ground up until they're called out or it turns out they're throwing rocks from a glass house. These people are morally inconsistent. They're intellectually dishonest, and you see it over and over again. Meanwhile, nothing I have said, nothing I'm talking about, nothing you're talking about, can you even get close to saying that we're intellectually or morally inconsistent? At least we're consistent. We may be assholes, but we're consistent.
We may even be wrong, but we're
But
consistent.
we're consistent.
Yeah.
And guess what? I will admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah. 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 So we're facing now a very interesting situation. You and I might have talked about this last week. I can't quite remember, but I know you've talked about it. I'm going to quote you here in a second. We're at this interesting flex point where I've been talking about recession for about 6 weeks, not saying that we're gonna have one, just saying that it looks like we could. The Atlanta Fed comes out on Friday and then again yesterday and talked about a 2.8% lower GDP for the year based on the stats that they're seeing. You said this, you said oil's now at 67. Mortgage rates are coming down. by 50 basis points. Housing supply is up. Housing prices are coming down. I'll argue with that. We've been arguing about that for weeks, but we don't need to go there again. CPI and PCE will soon reflect these things. We'll start to see the numbers coming down on the CPI and the PCE. Unemployment will be up a little, probably, you're saying. You didn't say a little, you just said up. Fed will have to cut rates. The US market will boom back. Lower rates will lead to domestic investment. Tariffs, too, will lead to investment, and the flywheel will spin. And you're only giving some of the stuff. You've also got all this promised investment in the manufacturing sector, which is the sector that hasn't been doing well. We can talk about some more of that in a minute. Where are
That's coming
you?
because of tariffs.
I'm sorry, what?
That's coming because of the tariffs.
The tariffs, okay.
That's what.
I'll add to it. I'll add to it. Ceasefires in Israel and Ukraine. The Houthis and the cartels get upgraded in status to terrorist enterprises. 10-year bonds are down 50-year basis points, which will also impact auto loans. So we might be getting fairly shortly into an economy where we're moving the atoms again instead of just moving paper and electrons. This would be very, very good to basically half the economy that's been in recession for 3 years. Which is going to happen the first, in your opinion, though? Are we going to have to go through some negative months or quarters to get to it? Or will we kind of slide, will the changes that are happening so rapidly give us that lift in time to keep us above the line?
Say more. What do you mean by negative months? Like
Negative GDP. Yeah.
Gotcha. We may have a negative GDP this quarter. I mean, just seeing what the Atlanta Fed put out there. I don't know what's going to happen there. And to be honest, I really don't care. I think the whole notion of a recession or not recession is irrelevant. It's been bastardized is just the only way I can say it. Like, we don't know what's a recession. We don't know what's not a recession anymore. It's this mythical thing. You and I have a point of view on whether we had one or are one or whatever. But what I would say is that stock market can go up in a recession. We've seen that. All right. Yeah. So if anyone's worried about that, thinking the stock market, just a recession really means nothing to the stock market in the big scheme of things, because even if it does go down, the stock market comes back before we're out of a recession anyway. So it's irrelevant. But what I would say is oil is coming down. House prices are coming down. Like, I can see it. There's a record supply. I know what you see and like with your properties, but I live in Florida, and Florida is the first one to always see the impacts on these things. And I'm telling you, across the board, there's right now, I think across the United States, there's a record amount of housing supply, a record amount of days of inventory since even before the Great Recession.
Okay. All right. Well,
all right.
Before the Great Recession, there was times when you could wait a year to sell your house on average. I mean, during during recessions.
But that's a little different than a housing supply on the market, is all I'm saying.
Well, no, but the housing supply also, that in terms of raw numbers, we are nowhere close to the raw numbers that we saw before the Great Recession.
Fair, but just as
it's more than it has been for quite a long time. Yes.
But so you're going to see that continue. As a result, you're going to see housing prices come down. As a result of that, you're going to see CPI come down. Why? Because the biggest component of CPI is housing. That means also PCE is going to come down. Don't forget, oil is coming down. Oil touches everything. Exactly. So all this will ripple through. And then with all the job cuts coming out, and guess what? Miraculously, all of a sudden, the government is going to somehow have honest numbers when it comes to the non-farm payrolls. All of a sudden, you're going to see that. Mark my words. Mark my words. All of a sudden, you're going to see these revisions be like nothing. All of a sudden, we're going to have accountability and accuracy. It's weird how that happens, but watch. It'll happen. You're going to see that. That is going to force the hand of the Fed. One way or another, it's going to force it. You couple unemployment, inflation numbers coming down, and Trump putting pressure on JP, He's not going to have a choice. All right. He's also trying to protect his own legacy. Last thing he wants to have is transitory 2.0. Okay. So he doesn't want that. Rates will come down. What happens when rates come down, coupled with higher tariffs, which is inducing people wanting to invest in the United States? Oh, guess what? Not only do you invest in the United States, but rates are coming down at the same time. So money's cheaper once you're in here. Oh my God. It's a funny thing that happens. It's a boom. And I'll say one other thing, Randy. It's absolutely, let's go back to the intellectually dishonest thing. You keep hearing people say that these tariffs are a tax on the American people. That American people are the ones that are going to eat all of this, and it only hurts the American people. Let's just think this through. If that were true, if there was any truth to that, to the fact that this only hurts American people, it's a tax on the American people, why is it that these countries do retaliatory tariffs? Why would they do that?
Hurt their own people.
If it only hurts us, we're self-imposing this. They should be happy about it, right? Because now they're going to get more money because they just pass it on to us, right? So it doesn't impact them. Or maybe there's a little more nuance to this discussion.
A lot of nuance.
Maybe. So it's people don't understand the economy. People don't understand money. I'm not claiming I'm an expert, but when I see half the people on X, there's just a lot of ignorance out there, and there's a lot of sound bites.
Yes. Well, when it comes to tariffs, I am an expert. Jeff Lutz is an expert. Jeff Lutz and I have talked about it dozens of times. I've written long, long posts on X about it. And yes, a percentage of tariffs, depending on what they are, can get through to the consumer. But for the most part, they don't. And at the same time, you can have a change. That same country, instead of imposing a tariff, can just beat their money down, the value of their money down, and get the same result. And it causes inflation in their own country, which then ends up being a problem for it's a tax. So there's lots and lots of ways to. Inflation is the worst tax of all because it impacts the poorest the most. Yeah. So this is, you're right.
And it's funny. There's also, what's his name? He used to be one of the Cyber Bull guys. What's his name?
Sorry, I'm not going to be able to help you there.
Help me out.
Somebody that's not on anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so sorry. Oh.
Hold on, I'm looking through right now.
This is not good podcasting. This is,
I know. I get too much. I get too much on my feed. Oh, here we go.
You're looking
Christian.
Oh, Christian.
Christian Valentin.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like he didn't elaborate, but on one of my posts, he wrote that I guess isolationism, or he said something like that, isn't an American value. And I asked him to elaborate. I don't know if he said isolationism, but I asked him to elaborate on this because if he's talking about tariffs, I said tariffs are deeply an American value. We've had tariffs as a source of income for the country longer than we've had an income tax.
Right. Much longer.
We've much longer. Yeah. So it's deeply American to have tariffs. And to me, tariffs are, everyone wants to talk about being equitable and using all these E words for alliteration. What's the most equitable thing? A tariff. You know why? Because all of a sudden, Randy, guess what? If tariffs are the only source of income for the federal government and nobody has an income tax, that means the only way Randy pays taxes is if he buys something. And guess what? The more money Randy has, the more he buys, the more taxes he pays. See how that works? It's essentially a consumption tax.
Yes,
that's all it is.
Yes,
to the extent that equitable thing.
Yes. Yes, it's a consumption. Exactly what it is. To the extent that it actually happens, because you can have, like they were going to put, Canada has a 233% tariff on U.S. eggs. Guess what? No eggs get exported to Canada, therefore they get no money from that tariff. They
Yeah.
would have to drop it to maybe 33 or 27 or some amount that would still allow eggs to come into the country before they could collect the tariff on that. So they can set a tariff, but they're not going to collect anything unless it's still makes sense in terms of the pricing that it has when it gets there. So yes, all of that stuff, I'm 100% in agreement with you. All right, so we are fairly much in agreement with regard to the economy. We could have a recession. We might not have a recession. And I don't care. And I said that, I don't know if I said it last week with you, but I've said it a couple of times. I know that sounds very mean, but and there'll be people that will be out of work, but they'll get unemployment insurance. I don't really care if there's a recession because you need to have them once in a while in order to clean out the gunk. And then you can move on again. And I think it will be very short and very, very flat or not very negative. And we'll be back. It will be back like crazy, like Nutsville, probably by the fourth quarter, would be my guess. What do you think?
I'm not convinced that we go into a recession. So I don't know. I mean, look, I don't see any reason for us to go into a recession.
Lots of jobs in the federal government, lots of procurement not going to happen in the federal government.
Yeah, but that's not real. I don't know how else to say this. Lots of unemployment. Okay, that will increase the unemployment number or percent. Sure, but the truth is, if these are people that really weren't adding value anyways, I don't see how they actually impact the economy. I mean, it's like, what were they doing already? Now, maybe you can say they're not spending in the economy now, sure, but they're still going to have 8 months worth of severance or whatever, right? So it's not like that's going to happen right away. They're still going to have enough money to spend and live their lives and find another job. And so I think there's enough runway for that to be a non-issue. So, and I believe if you have a severance, you can't file for unemployment.
No, not well,
So,
in this particular, in the way that they're going to do it, that would be true. So they're basically saying that you will quit your job 8 months from now. You won't work between now and then. You can take a vacation, but your job will end 8 months from now. So that's when you can start taking the unemployment.
yeah. So, okay, so they're all going to find new jobs, or most of them will, because it's 8 months.
Yeah.
They're all going to be getting paid during that entire time. So, I don't think that makes any issue into the economy because of that. And in fact, I bet you could see unemployment go down because of that. There's a chance of that.
That's it.
And then as far as, look, I think as housing comes down, as we see inflation comes down, I think the Fed will be able to cut rates aggressively enough to stimulate growth. You couple that with investments coming in, whether it's SoftBank, whether it's TSMC, whether it's whatever company building a new factory. Honda just decided to do their factory in Indiana instead of Mexico. But you're going to see more of that. That's growth, that's jobs, etc. And then you couple that with the cuts from Doge. You couple that with any income we're bringing in from I mean, it does seem like there's, what do I know, but a more likely path towards things being smooth than not. And I think the only reason we see rockiness right now, well, like we don't even see rockiness right now. We see the markets jumping up and down.
Right.
If you don't have any money in the markets, you're ignorant to what's happening. You have no idea what's happening. The only way you even know that these last 2 weeks have been bloody is because you're in the markets. If you're not in the markets, you're just ambivalent. You don't actually know what's going on in the world. You may know what's going on in the news. You don't actually know what's going on in the world because
Financially,
the whole world runs through finances.
The economy, yes.
Exactly, the economy. Yeah, you have no idea what's going on in the economy if you're not plugged in. But so, and the reason all this chaos is happening in the market is because I don't know how many times I've said this on different podcasts and probably on yours like a million times. The stock market doesn't like uncertainty.
Right.
And this is why I made the prediction that after this week, all this craziness subsides, or at least ends for a little while. Because I think this week we get clarity on Ukraine, Russia. We get clarity on the tariffs in Mexico and Canada, and we get to breathe again. So there's certainty.
So you don't think that Trump will create some more chaos by the weekend?
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Okay. All right. Okay. That's it.
He knows how to balance levity.
Okay.
You need to shake things up, back up a little bit.
Okay.
Shake things up, back up a little bit. Just look what he's done with tariffs. I threaten you about tariffs. Okay, I'll back up a little bit. I threaten you about tariffs. Okay, I'll back up a little bit. He just did that with Zelensky. We just saw it live.
Right. Right.
Like, you know, he knows how to. I don't know how to say this appropriately. He knows how not to shoot his load too early, and he knows how to have a little foreplay.
I know you were talking about guns, but I don't know exactly what that
No,
means.
I'm not talking about guns.
You're some kind of gun. I don't know which
No, well, your own individual gun. You're
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. All
okay.
right. So you think that this will be do you think it will take till the end of the week? I mean, if we've got a tariff decision tomorrow and we've got the signed document from Zelensky tonight, will it take till the end of the week before the pullback is over? It seems like that would be enough stimulus. I mean, I've already looked at we'll look at it here in a minute, but the pre-market looks
Randy,
pretty solid.
Randy,
Yes. Yes.
if/when I'm right about this,
Yeah.
I expect a X post saying, "Well, Nick Gibbs called it again on my episode. We're green tomorrow.
I gave
We're
that
green
already.
tomorrow."
Did you hear that? If you
You
watched
gave
my
me
show
what?
all the time, you'd know that I was already going to give you credit. Yeah, I did. I did on the show. I said he called it 100%. Yeah.
Which one?
I can't remember now, darn it. What was
Uh,
it had to be, what was
See,
it?
people, there's so many. I'm asking which one.
I know, but I'd have to look back in my scripts. I do a lot every day here. They say I'm the hardest working guy in the in the YouTube business here.
I
So,
mean, between you and Herbert, I don't know. You guys crank them out. It's I thought it was hard doing one a day back when I was doing that. You and Herbert, you guys are on another level.
well, all right. So whatever you said, I did give you credit earlier this
Yeah,
week and said that, man. In fact, you know what I said after that? I think it was last night. And I not only said, boy, did he hit that one out of the park. Did he get it right on the nose? I said, that's why you need to always be sure to listen on Tuesday nights.
there we go. Well, but so here's my prediction. Tomorrow we're green.
Tomorrow we're green. I think you'll be
Tomorrow's
right.
a green day.
I'm going to, fist bump you or something. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be right about that one.
Tomorrow's a green day, and after this week, we get a breather. We get some relief. It's been 2 weeks of.
Yeah.
It's been tumultuous, especially if you're in there playing with options or anything. You've been working.
Yeah.
Nothing's passive right now. And if you aren't and you're just passive, you've been saying a lot of prayers, you know, or I mean, or not. I'm obviously being kind of
Yeah.
hyperbolic there, you
Yeah.
know, because I actually made a comment to someone earlier today who, because I mentioned that this is a healthy pullback,
Yeah.
and someone wrote 50% pullback, and I responded to them, new Tesla investor. I remember my first pullback. But yes, 50% pullback in Tesla is child's play.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I keep reminding people that I think it's right now 25% up from 6 months ago.
Yeah, well,
So,
I also mentioned this. Think about this. 3 months ago, we were celebrating 270.
right. I saw your post on that.
Like,
Yeah, right.
get excited again, people. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was predicting 410, and everybody was like, "What are you even talking about?"
hey, you could still be right.
Yeah, I was once. I mean,
Yeah.
earlier. Now see if I can be right again.
Yeah, I honestly, I think a lot of this is noise. There's a lot of noise out there, and the market is, and this is crazy to say, the market is both oversold and overextended. As weird as that sounds. Valuations are crazy.
Yeah.
But the valuations are what they are, and we've had them long enough to the point where that is what we're valuing these companies at. And the reason is because there's only a handful of companies that have a lot of future growth promise. And that's why they're valued so high, because it's consolidated into a handful of companies that actually have, everything's AI right now. And so there's only a handful of companies that have the capital, the talent, and the ability to go into that space. And so everyone's trying to capture as many shares in those companies for whoever's going to be the winner in these fields, right? And so people are piling into those companies. So in that sense, they're not overvalued, or they're overvalued makes sense, is the only way I can say it.
Right. Well, so
but the sell-off is overextended for sure.
Yeah. So I just had this brain fart. I said it in the beginning of the show, we are in an economy right now that is only celebrating people who move atoms or electrons. We're not celebrating the people that move atoms. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. We're celebrating the people that move electrons, not the people that move atoms. So the hard goods people, the people that manufacture things,
How do you
housing, durables, cars, etc., have all been in recession for 3 years. Goods have been in recession for 3 years, manufacturing. So you've got a 3-year recession on all those. Those are not usually the ones that get the high PEs. What's been moving has been people that move electrons, the services, the Magnificent Seven that are in the business of doing electronic things, AI, etc. And those do commonly get higher PEs. So that would be part of maybe the reason for the imbalance on the S&P's PE ratio right now.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think the S&P's imbalanced.
No.
Like it's asymmetric. I think is what you're saying, but I don't think that makes it imbalanced.
Right.
The bets are where the bets are, and the bets are there for a reason. There's only a handful of cloud providers: AWS, Azure, GCP, and China Alibaba. There's only a handful of streaming services: Netflix, Hulu, kind of Disney Plus, kind of HBO Max. I mean, there's only a handful of streaming services: Spotify, and then kind of Apple, and maybe there's another one. There's only a handful of, I mean, you can go down the line. There's only a handful of phone manufacturers. There's only going to be a handful of real AI companies.
Right.
And so people are piling in because they see what's happening. And those who don't get that are going to be left behind. And they're going to sit there and be like, oh, well, the S&P 500 has all these other companies that are undervalued, and SMAC 7 or 2, whatever. And it's because, yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a reason. Because guess where the talent, look where the talent's going, to the MAG 7. Look where the capital's going, to the MAG 7. Ergo, guess where the growth is going to be? To the MAG 7. So it's like, this is, I don't know. Every day I see on CNBC talking about how things are so loaded in the MAG 7. And we've got the Russell, and we've got IWM, and right, all, the S&P 93 or 493. And it's like, yes, you're right. But guess what? None of them have real growth opportunity. So it's going to be this way.
So you're obviously, one of the things we talk a lot about on this show, and you keep it's still at the top of your X profile, is the fact that the growth in, not necessarily in chips, but the growth that the money, the future money that's going to be made in AI is not going to be made in LLMs, that is going to become commoditized. I think I've seen a lot of really smart guys agree with you on that. But the question that came up last week on the All In podcast and BG2 was, is it now a one-horse race or a two-horse race? Is Elon right? And is XAI just going to walk away with it?
Mm. So yeah, so just for context, and I wish I would have phrased that post a little differently, just because now when people see that post, they're gonna be like, "Oh, obviously." But when I wrote that post,
It was
it was the least popular thing to say. It was the opposite of that. And so I wish I would have said, "This will age well." No one believes this now, or something like that. But I haven't seen the Bill Gurley latest podcast or the All In podcast, which is rare because
yeah.
the All In's kind of my Saturday morning routine before the gym. Cup of coffee, all right, 2 cups of coffee with the wife, and we watch it. So I haven't seen it, but to me, unequivocally, XAI has the best LLM out there. You can go through all these ELO scores and competitions. Look, I'm using it day to day. I'm telling you, it's the best. It's not even close. Now, there is a question to be had. How much better is it than, say, ChatGPT? I wouldn't say it's leaps and bounds better, right? I wouldn't say it's a 10x better, but I would say it's 1 to 2x better. Like it's enough where you're like, oh, it's definitely noticeable. Not like you're squinting your eyes trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that does make me wonder. They have all this compute that they're training on. They're better, but it's not like lights out better compared to ChatGPT. Does that maybe make it seem like these big training clusters are kind of becoming, the rate of progress is kind of becoming logarithmic? In other words, it's starting to do that? Or is it that they might have kind of taken, I don't want to say shortcuts, but done some things just to get the model out there intentionally because Elon's trying to play this chess game against Sam and try to keep him from going public? I don't know. There's all kinds of questions there, but I would have thought that with that amount of compute, that they would have been on a whole nother level compared to ChatGPT or even, let's give Anthropic their flowers, what they're doing. But I will say it is unequivocal to me. It's hands down the best LLM that's out there. Whether it's for writing code, whether it's sounding human-like, whether it's and I know some people will say like, oh, Claude's the best, whatever. I'm talking about like actual usability in real world. But I don't know. But I still stand by my statement that you're not going to make money from the LLM. You're not.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to have to come in the apps and in the agents and all the rest. It would seem like
it won't even be the agents, Randy, because the people who are going to make money on the agents will be from infrastructure, right? From where do we store this? What Lambda functions are we calling? What, like, it's going to be like the cloud companies on all the services to build out the agent, or it'll be like that. It's not going to be the LLMs. Like, sure, LLMs are going to make money, right? Like, especially if you're, invoking the model or making API calls to leverage the given model, sure. But it's not going to be the $5 trillion, $10 trillion, $20 trillion market. That is only going to be in autonomy and humanoids. As far as what I can see today, that's my opinion. I'm probably going to be wrong. There's probably so many more other obvious things I don't know yet because we're not there. And once we get there, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was obvious. But it wasn't, because we're blind to it. Yeah. It's like Netflix is so obvious now. Spotify is so obvious now. But guess what? In 1990, no, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
Cloud computing is so obvious now, but it was not back then.
No.
But now it's like, oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, well, with Elon having 200,000 of the chips in place now, and already having ordered the capability, what do you want to call it, the gas generators to be able to power another 200,000. Apparently, maybe by the end of August or something like that, having 400,000, nobody else even close. If in fact, I would think that Elon, who we all probably both agree is pretty smart, wouldn't be buying all those chips and putting all that capability in if he didn't believe he was going to continue to give him the ramp of information of the ramp that will turn into money.
I I don't think that all those. So I don't want to sound like I know the answer to this. I don't. I'm highly skeptical that they're using all of those servers, all those GPUs in unison for training. That's not how it normally would work. They may be all up and running so that then the given engineers can carve out the GPUs they need to run, their jobs. But I don't think you're going to have 400 strictly running. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I know like for Dojo, for example, for at least 2 years ago, that's not how it worked. Yeah, they were all clustered together, but then the engineers could go in, they could carve up what they needed, right? So they had essentially had this pool of GPUs available, and if they needed 100, they could go grab 100 and run their job, right? And that's how it would work. And all these different jobs then kind of come together to, piecemeal a solution. I don't really know how they're training things right now. I would say that anything that 𝐑𝐬𝐽 is doing is probably similar to what everyone else is doing, but I would also imagine that there's a lot of risk that they're taking that other people and companies aren't taking. And we know that because that's kind of the Tesla ethos, that's the Elon ethos. There's not many people that'll say, yeah, just blow up that rocket. Who cares?
Right.
There's not many people that'll say, just put up a tent and we'll make these cars outside. So that's the X factor, no pun intended, that 𝐑𝐬𝐽 has. I know, wasn't that kind of brilliant that just happened?
That's
so organic. But that would be something that it's the intangible of a Musk company that's what the cars and the tents. But yeah, just blow up the rocket. We'll just get better data. That's what you're invested for. Right. For the guy who has the intestinal fortitude to do that. Yeah, that's what you're invested in. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Wild. Go ahead, put all these cameras in all these vehicles and the computers. Yeah, we'll sell them as part of the vehicles no matter what. We'll just put these all out there. We're just going to do that. We're going to take this risk.
We'll take the risk.
No one else does these things.
Yes.
That's what you're invested for.
Build all the stations, the all over the country, and we only have 500,000 cars, but it's okay. We'll have 500,000 pumps also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what is going to have to start doing that in India next, I guess, huh? China targets around 5% GDP growth in 2025. That's about what they were last year, right? 5% for them is so low.
Yeah, I mean, China's slowing down. I think we've all known that for a while. I mean, they're stimulating the hell out of China, but they're also still dealing with. I know there's a lot of more sexier news to talk about right now, but they're still dealing with real estate issues over there. So, and I think, I kind of think this might be a little bit of a hot take. I kind of think they're planning to do something with Taiwan sooner than later.
Oh. Well, they're going to be really disappointed if they do that.
Why?
Well, first of all, they would never do it under Trump.
I don't know.
Not a chance under Trump. Plus, I have my belief that they have stuff under those mountains that China just doesn't have a clue.
Maybe. Let me tell you why I say that. Besides all the obvious stuff,
right.
The TSMC deal struck me as eyebrow raising.
Because you think that TSMC is trying to make sure they've got a place to go live?
Not so much that they have a place to go live, but if China took over Taiwan, there's a good chance that TSMC would lose a lot of business potentially, or there might be disruption to their business. And so much like Apple is restructuring in India, much like Tesla is looking to expand into India, these aren't by accident. These are hedges. And I think TSMC is hedging within the United States. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think that Elon Musk hates. I mean, I'm sorry that Trump hates war, wants peace, and that if China made a run on Taiwan, China would find out what hell and fury really looks like. It would,
Maybe,
I don't
keep it.
think Trump would hesitate. I don't think he would even think about it. It would just be like, put everything on those ships or whatever they are that are coming over and just destroy them. I mean, just,
Maybe, but hear me out.
yeah.
If TSMC has fabs here,
Uh-huh.
what's our incentive to protect Taiwan?
Yeah. So if you're talking 5 years from now, and now it's JD, who I like, but I don't know enough about JD to know what I think he would do in a situation like that. I think I know about Trump, and I think everybody else knows that he's
But but
erratic,
ju-
and you can't depend on him being a wimp in a situation like that. He's not going to
yeah,
be.
but I get that. But answer my question. What's our incentive to protect them if
Yeah, if they were already over in the United States and they were making the hottest, freshest, best chips in the world in the United States, no, I would have to agree with you. There's not much else that would be worth risking a significant, issue. Yeah.
yeah, and my understanding, my history's a little fuzzy on it. So again, I'm talking about something that I'm not very clear on at the moment. It's been years since I've actually known the agreements, but there's something in there where China is to that Taiwan was supposed to be part of China by like 2050 or something like that.
No,
I,
I
for,
don't
I for-
think so. I don't think so. No, this is as far as Taiwan is concerned, they're 100% independent. That China says they're not, that they're still part of the motherland, but no, the Taiwanese people are uh, the ones that let's say that 30 years ago when I knew some people in Taiwan, they would have been they would have gladly given up all their children and their next generation of children in order to keep China out of Taiwan. I mean, they really hate the Chinese. But what's happened since is that these business owners in China now all have a business I mean, all the business owners in Taiwan have all extended their businesses into China. They have a separate factory in China, et cetera. And they have a girlfriend in China or a separate wife in China. I mean, it's like, so now there might be enough inner connections between them and people on the mainland that it might not be that big of a deal to eventually be a bloodless connection again.
yeah, so I hear you. I'm not talking about the Taiwanese people. Like I get they want their independence and they see themselves as their own culture and everything. But here's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Um, it's called the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, which is a symbolic target of 2049, the 100th anniversary of the People Republics of China's founding. And so that's the target date where Taiwan is supposed to be back and part of China. Because I guess,
I think that would be the CPC's target date and probably doesn't have anything to do with the Taiwan people. That's
uh,
just my theory.
yeah, because Taiwan essentially. So yeah, so I'm relearning this now.
Yeah,
It says the Chinese Civil War, when the national government KMT related to Taiwan in 1949, established the ROC, while the Communist Party founded the PRC on the mainland. Beijing has long maintained that the unification is an inevitable goal,
right,
but it has not set a universal agreed upon deadline enshrined in an international treaty or agreement.
right, right.
So, so that's kind of what I was getting at. Is let me see. Uh, yeah. So she's talked about 2027 or 2049 as potential deadlines. Yeah, I don't know. My point is like it does seem inevitable that it's going to happen,
Well,
or
and
not that it's going to happen. That there will be a moment of tension.
a moment of tension. Yeah, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. But to your point, well, unless the Chinese felt like this was a move, the fact that they're going to open a top fab of high quality fab, but they did say they were making it very clear, headlines today, we will not be doing our top of the line stuff in the United States. So that might have been a kind of a pushback to China to say, no, no, we're going to keep this.
Oh,
Uh,
potentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going to keep this part here in order to keep you from coming in. Well, listen, the Tesla has actually dropped a little bit in the after hours. It was up six, now it's down up 488,
What'd you do?
486. Huh?
What'd you do?
I know. It must have been something
You
I said.
broke it.
I know. But let's
You
go
just got
ahead.
blow up.
So here we go. We go to bonds. The bonds had really been down. And now the 10-year is sitting at 4238, which is good, but it was at 4211. No, it was at 42, no, 4.11. It was at 4.11 earlier today. I thought we might have had a three handle by the end of the week, but it's rebounded because of all the good news about the tariffs, I assume. So, thoughts on the bonds? Do you think we continue down now, or do you think now they'll think the business is too good and they'll have to?
No, I mean they're steadily going down. What was it? A
It's
week and a half ago, we were like, "Oh my God, 5% is coming."
it's been going down every single week that Trump has been in office, and this week it was looking great until this afternoon. So anyway, 2 month up 4.3, and the 2 year up 1.5. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I guess we'll probably find out for real on Friday when we get the jobs numbers. That will be the real tell.
Well, yeah, let's linger on that.
Okay, sure.
What exactly do you think will be the tell? Well, like, what do you?
If we miss on the jobs numbers, if we don't have enough, if we don't create enough jobs, or if there's if we get more evidence that there's a softening in the job market, then I think the bond market will be in the threes
And you think the stock market goes up?
and the stock market goes up. Yep.
So you're rooting for a low jobs number.
Well, I don't know if so the stock, okay, so that's my problem. This is where we started the whole conversation. I don't know
No one does.
which one is gonna happen first and second and third. It's gonna be a dance, you know? So if the job numbers are too low, then the market could go down. You could be wrong. I could be saying next week, don't listen to that guy anymore. He was wrong this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know. But I think like you, I think the jobs numbers are going to be a little soft for a while.
Yeah, I think without a doubt they're gonna be soft. No, it's not even that they're soft.
Yeah, they're not. No.
Like, here's the problem. We don't know if they're soft or not, is the problem. I think that we're gonna see real numbers.
Right. Right. And we'll see we'll see what the economy does with that.
And you know what? Sorry, just
Yeah.
last
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about the last 4 years is that the numbers may have been what they were. Like there may have not been any tomfoolery, but there was such inconsistency and such blatant line and propaganda. I mean, again, just they changed the definition of a recession on Wikipedia. You know, like they told us Joe Biden was good all like just all this that now, even if those numbers were accurate the whole time and they just were what they were, and it was just hard to forecast some reasons, hence the revisions. I don't trust it.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, so it's like it really sucks that that's the case. You know, there is no consistency. Anyway, sorry, I'm preaching to the choir. I know, but it's
And the deep state is still going to be in there, probably fiddling with those numbers because that's Federal Reserve. Oh no, it's census. Census? No, Department of Labor. Yeah, it's probably some
Department of Labor.
deep state people working there. Oil down 37 cents to 67.89. If the war, well, I'm surprised it's not even more so. We've got Saudi Arabia increasing their output. We've got Argentina increasing their output. We've got the United States drill, baby, drill. How long till we get in the 50s?
We're not, remember? I said 60s is the bottom.
60 is the bottom. Okay, so 60, but it might get down to 60, 61.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about Brent or are you talking about WTI?
WTI,
WTI 60.
60. Okay. All right, that's the bottom. All right.
Maybe 55.
Okay.
If I hedge $5 based on, yeah.
Okay, 55 to
I
60,
think 60.
55 to 60, and that makes Brent 60 to 63.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the world loves those prices
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's good equilibrium price. Like the oil companies can make money. It's very deflationary. People aren't, people who have gas vehicles they're moving, they're spending, they're not pinching pennies for gas, so.
Gold is back in the run, up $3 in the pre-market, 29.23. Going to take another run at 3,000 this week.
I don't know. I think if I'm right about this week being kind of I don't say
Watershed.
bottom, but the breather, at least after this week, then we might be getting to a little bit of a risk on situation.
But gold seems to be going up in risk on and risk off.
Well, you have gold going up a lot because of China.
And India.
Or potentially the U.S. buying gold to fill Fort Knox.
Right.
I don't know.
Replace the gold in Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Silver up 0.35, 32.49. It has been more or less traveling this same path as gold. Copper up 0.4, $4.57, around where it's been. Thoughts? Anything there?
No thoughts.
Okay, Bitcoin came all the way back down. It's up a little bit today, up 1150, 86,884, but it went up from 83 to 95 or something, and then back down almost all the way, and now popped up a little bit. So how come they don't like the reserve currency thing anymore? Did there something happen that everybody's like, oh no, never mind?
I think that's a non-equivalent argument. Meaning that'd be like me saying, well, how come Tesla didn't go up on the FSD China news? Or how come Tesla didn't go up on the Robotaxi California application news? Well, it's because the market was going down. So the market is doing market things.
I see. Okay, so it went up because of the information that the United States is really, because he wrote the EO, but then it came back down because of the market.
Yeah, I mean, the market, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what news comes out. The market has momentum.
Yeah.
But when a tsunami's moving, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Doesn't matter what news.
Right.
China FSD news should have sent the stock to $500.
Right.
Like it should have.
Yeah.
Not saying it should happen. What happened is what should happen. The market
Right.
is pretty good at.
It could have. It could have.
Yes, exactly. It could have. Yes. So, yeah.
Okay, I get it. The equities for tomorrow, we've got the Dow up 218 or 0.50, S&P up 34.75 or 0.60, and the NASDAQ up 132 or 0.65. So all three kind of in the same range for a change. So you believe it'll be green tomorrow?
I mean, I do. I mean, I don't know anything. Like, it's a freaking coin flip. Like, it's easy for me to say this. And guess what? If it's heads and I'm right, I got lucky. Like,
Yeah.
like it's dumb luck.
Don't say that. No. On my program, this is supposed to be because we're brilliant.
No. Feel free on your post when you're like, oh, Nick called it on my channel, whatever, and put, as he said, in quotes, it was dumb luck. Like, feel free to say that because it's just a coin flip. I don't know what Trump's going to say tonight. What I think, like, here's my take.
Yep.
No one knows what's going to happen,
Right.
but at the end of the day, we all have all the information we see out there, and we are humans with a brain between our ears, and we got free will. We can have a point of view. My point of view is that markets don't like uncertainty. After tonight, we will have certainty. After tomorrow, we will have certainty. One way or another, Ukraine, Canada, and Mexico tariffs and China tariffs, we will have some level of certainty by the end of the week.
Mhm.
And so my opinion is that once the market has a little more certainty and they're a little grounded, and we've gotten through non-farm payrolls,
Mhm.
okay, well, what else is there to freak out about? Nothing for a little bit. And so I think that after this week, we kind of chill out.
Okay.
We can still sell off. We can still go down to $200 a share on Tesla. I don't know. But I think that we've earned, and we will have a little bit of a breather.
A little bit of a breather. Okay. Well, with that, fine. This is, after all, Good News Tuesday. So, what better news could you have that you could have a breather? That would be great. All right. Thank you, Nicholas, as always, for coming on and for being right once in a while.
Sometimes.
Yeah. It's been great talking to you.